Welcome to Lesson 4, Example 4, and it is asking us to find the total deflection of the W21 by 44 beam using Example 1. If half of the load is live load, does the beam meet the deflection limits of the UBC? And it tells us the I for the beam, which is 843. So we're looking for the max deflection. And it says, go ahead and see the table on page 65. And your E, as usual, is 29 million psi or 29,000 ksi. All right, well, right off the bat, we know that deflection, actually you need to go look at in your steel manual, look at those equations, or I believe it was back in the back of one of these. And instead of just looking on the study guide and saying, oh, well, it says right here, 5WL to cubed, or I guess not cubed, it's 5WL to the fourth divided by 384 EI. I think you should go look in the steel manual and actually find this, because when you're on a test, you're not going to have this study guide with you. So go and actually use the most important thing about these tests I've found is to know your resources. If you know where to find this stuff, you will go through it a lot quicker, and you're not going to have those time restraints. I mean, when you don't know where you're going, half time you have to figure out what you have to go through and look everything, as opposed to start tabbing them right now. Like I said, in your steel manual, you have these equations, and heck, I've got a tab, and I just use them all the time. So anyways, go to your steel manual, find this, or whatever resource you're going to have in the test, and take this equation away and say, okay, I have a uniform dead load, uniform distributed dead load and live load. So a uniform distributed load. And this is my equation for deflection, for max deflection. Take that away from that and use it that way. So when you're looking at live load deflection and dead load deflection, all right, let's go figure out what our deflection is, and we'll see if it meets the deflection requirements provided in the UBC. All right. So it said we have half of the load is live load. I think it was 2,000. I know it was 2,000 PLF. So half of that equals 1,000 PLF live load. So we're going to have to figure out the live load deflection. What is the live load deflection limits? And you're going to have half and half. That's my phone. Hold on a second. So let's go over here and say live load deflection. It's going to be 1,000 PLF. And then we had, that's W. And let's see. Since we're doing deflection, I always like to change everything to inches. So let's go ahead and do that over here before. I like to do it in the parentheses. So we have, and sometimes actually it's easier to do it like this, pounds per foot. And that means you can figure out what's on top and what's on bottom. I remember in stoichiometry and chemistry is the best way to figure out how to convert to units, because you have to do it all the time, and it just gets to a point where you say, oh, if it's on top, you put it on bottom, and it cancels it out. Anyways, we wanted to keep it in here. Change all foot to pounds, or to inches. So we want to put foot on top, 12 inches on the bottom. That'll change it. And then let's go to L, which we said was 24 foot. Let's change that to inches. So let's go ahead and do this so you can follow it easier. Foot's on top, so we want to put 12 inches. Or foot on bottom, and then 12 inches on top. Then we want to multiply that to the fourth. And take that over 384 E, which was 29 million PSI. And then you had I, which they told us was 843, which you could also find on the section properties of your steelbook for the W21 by 44. All right, now let's get out the calculator and figure this out. 5 times 1,000 times, or divided by 12, times parentheses 24 times 12 close parentheses to the fourth divided by 3, 84 divided by 29, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros divided by 843. And you get 0.31, let's say. And this is going to be deflection, so that's going to be in inches. And heck, we have the time. Let's go ahead and figure out and see if this actually goes down to inches. Let's change colors. We have foot. We cancel that. We have foot over here. Cancel it out. Foot. Foot. That means you have inches to the fourth. And you have pounds over inches. So it's inches to the third. You have on top, you're going to have pounds, inches to the third. And then on bottom, you're going to have, I shouldn't have put PSI there. It's going to be pounds per inch squared. And then inches to the fourth. So that's going to cross out, and you're going to have inches squared. You're going to have pounds times inches squared. So if you have pounds over inches cubed, and you take it over inches, pounds over, this is going to cross out. Pounds, pounds, and then if you have, and this is actually pounds. As you can see, we would have got it wrong if I would have kept on going. I don't think this is on the bottom. I think this is over here. Let me check again. Yeah, because this is on the top. So it's going to be inches to the fourth. Yeah, it's going to be pounds, inches cubed, like that. And that's divided by 2. So you have one of these left. You have inches. You're left with inches, which is what we want. 0.31 inches. Okay, so that's our actual live load deflection. And you could write that out. You say, okay, our deflection live load actual ACT or UAL, you could write it out all the way, equals 0.31 inches. All right, now we need to figure out, okay, what is our allowable? If that's our actual, what's our allowable? And let's go ahead and figure that out. And it says that the live load deflection needs to be, I always like writing it like this. It makes it a little bit more, you could say the deflection limits, or the live load deflection has to be less than L over 360. That's what it is. Remember, this is, need to change this to inches. So real quick, we had what, 24 foot times 12 inches per foot over 360, and that's going to be our, or you could say this equals deflection limits. However you want to write it, as long as you understand the theory behind it, it doesn't matter how you write it, as long as it's clear. And that equals 0.8 inches. So that, this is our allowable. This is our actual. So you need to say actual needs to be less than, sorry, it's not A, it's supposed to be a delta. Live load allow. And that is correct because our actual is 0.31 inches, and it is in fact less than 0.8 inches. So we are good. Good for deflection. And thank you, and I'll see you in your next video.